G'day, it's Heath here from pickinglessons.com. The Monaghan Jig, this is such a great tune. Very complicated for the banjo, 5-string banjo in a melodic style though. So we're going to dig into this tune in this lesson. In a moment we're going to take a look at part A here to get us started and have a look at some of the techniques. We're in 6/8 time, we're in key of E minor, but it's how the melody is structured that makes this tune challenging. So we'll get into that in a moment. Pickinglessons.com, you've got to grab yourself a copy of the tablature and also the remainder of this lesson, part B, C and D. It's a 4-parter. That'll be there in the members section. So pickinglessons.com. All right, let's have a look at part A slowly first. We'll just have a look through the 8 measures and then we'll break down and start to have a look at what our right hand needs to be doing to capture all these melody notes. 1 and a 2 and a. Okay, so there was part A, nice and slow. Now, there are several things we're going to have to work on really to get this happening. So firstly, the 6/8 time signature. So for the jig, we have 2 pulses in the measure, but each pulse is separated into basically, well, 3/8 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we want this steady pulse through our playing, kind of highlighted in what we're doing. And that really, as we start to look at the melody, you'll see how that's sort of captured in there anyway. But the way that the notes are moving, our right hand is not structured in the most convenient way. There are certainly some easier passages, and let's have a look at perhaps one of those to kick us off. We'll look at measure 3. Let's get into measure 3. We're in standard tuning, key of E minor, don't have to change anything there. Measure 3 is a good example of the time signature. If you look at measure 3 there are 2 groups of notes, 3 in each group, and this is really just a backward roll. So as we play this, the fingering is pretty straightforward. Middle, index, thumb, middle, index, thumb. That's pretty obvious, but it also helps us kind of pinpoint this time signature. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's a nice way of looking at the time signature and the feel that we want. Pretty easy for the right hand. Let's step back to measure 2. Measure 2, we have that to kick us off. But there are times in the tune where we need to double up with the thumb. Now this is one of the areas that can be a little harder to play. So we're going to backward roll to string 4, but then string 4, we're also going to use the thumb to kick us off for the next melody run. So in this case, we're going kind of more single string, and it'll be thumb, index, thumb. So those 3 notes there, the F sharp with the thumb, open G with the index, and thumb on the A. So we have a backward roll into that single string combo, kicking off with a thumb. So that double thumb in the middle there. So bear in mind this is a fast tune. This is why it's going to get complicated. So we'll jump back again. We'll come back to this in a moment, but we'll jump back to first measure now. Now the first measure, again, we start off with this backward roll, 3 notes there, but then into a single string variation of rhythm on the F sharp. And so we have this dotted 8th note, the 16th note, then an 8th note, and the rhythm, that second half of the measure, da, 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 4, 5, and 6, 4, 5, and 6. So our 6 notes in that measure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There's our rhythm. But how to play that? Right hand, backward roll, but then thumb to kick us off, index and thumb. So again, double thumb. There are lots of times in the tune where you're going to have to go thumb, thumb. And then there's other variations we're going to have to capture as well. But that is one that we want to work on for this section, part A. So first measure, backward roll to the thumb, then thumb kicks off that variation of rhythm. Ready, and. One more time. Remembering that's thumb, index, thumb. So the single string passages, we're going to alternate thumb and index finger. Kicking off in this case with the thumb on that beat, the second beat of the measure 2. So that's where we're using our thumb. Second measure, backward roll, then thumb again, single string passage, but moving strings. Thumb, index, thumb, middle, index, thumb, thumb, index, thumb. All these fingers are in the tablature, so keep a close eye there underneath those notes. The thumb, index, middle are all marked. Worth stopping and practicing that. If you're already getting a little bit muddled with those fingers, take your time and practice it up. We're going to keep moving through though. Measure 3 was the easy one. Measure 4. This one's actually pretty easy for the right hand because we're going to use some slurs to get us through the melody. So hammer-ons and pull-offs in there. We're going to kick it off with the index finger on that A note to the thumb, then flick that 4th fret there, the F sharp, to the open D. And then use your thumb again to hammer on from open D to F sharp, back to the A. So that's actually really easy. We're trying to keep it as easy as we can, but unfortunately the melody just isn't that straightforward at times, so we can't simplify it too much. But that is with those slurs is a really nice way of going about that 4th measure. Index, thumb, pull off, thumb, hammer, index. Again, just stop and practice those up. For now, let's have a practice of the first 4 measures. So once you start to build up these individual measures, because they're so tricky, then go to combine them, and in this case we'll go from measure 1 through 4 and just take it slow, and then you can stop and practice that and then build on that. So measure 1 through 4, ready and Now, if your fingers in the right hand are getting tripped up and feeling complicated, again, stop. Practice, have a look at the music, slow down what you're doing and really analyze the right hand. 6/8 time, 6 notes in the bar a lot of the time, moving around in different ways, single string, moving across different strings. It's not that straightforward, so take your time with it. Looking at the second half of part A here, we've got another 4 measures. The first of those, 5 and 6, are the same as measures 1 and 2. So that's all good, we've done that already. Now the 2 measures 7 and 8 before we hit the repeat. That's pretty much the same in each section except for the last part, but this section here, we're going to hammer on from the open D to the E, and then pick that open D again. So that's pretty easy. Just use your middle finger on that one, then thumb and index on the A and the B. Then we have that F sharp pull off to the D. So the thumb's job there is on that first note, and then back to the F sharp, index, thumb, and flick. So the 2 measures there, they're actually pretty straightforward, which is nice, because we do come back to those quite a bit through the tune. And around we go. Hit the repeat or next section if that's the time to move. Now, right hand is the most crucial part of this tune. The left hand, there are a lot of open strings. There hasn't been that many notes. The left hand's job's pretty straightforward. It's the way the notes move from string to string, and the movement of those notes is quite complicated at times for the right hand. And then, at times, having to double up on, in this case, the thumb, in this section, thumb, thumb, a lot of the time. In other sections, we have to double up with different fingers at times, depending on how the combination of notes sort of presents themselves. Very challenging tune, but I can guarantee if you work your way through it, you're going to be feeling really rewarded with that process. It's a fun tune to play. So pickandlessons.com, you'll be able to grab yourself a copy of this chart that we've been working through, the complete thing there, and also in the member section, parts B, C and D of the rest of the tune will break down together. pickandlessons.com, see you there.